I
Sean
don't even
Payton's
want
a
to say it, Bloom. I
Sean
mean, I
Payton's a
want to say it.
genius. You want to say Sean Payton's a genius?
But I'm proud of your internet.
Oh yeah, it's been great. Well, the weather finally cooled down. Maybe it's the heat.
Maybe it's the coolness.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just New Orleans.
It,
All
it
right,
it always is.
let's get this thing rolling like this.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
It is time for the Week 11 preview part 1 here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, and we are talking some bangers to start out this week,
Yeah.
Bloom. Cincinnati and
Yeah.
Baltimore. Let's get it on. Thursday night football. Get your popcorn ready. Cincinnati side, and we're watching for the health status of a T. Higgins, but we saw what Tyler Boyd did last week. We know what Jamar Chase can do, even when he doesn't practice. It's amazing. A little bit of Joe Mixon, lots of Joe Burrow. Cincinnati should be ready. Well, we'll see who's out there when they are ready.
Yeah, Cease, you're right. And I think that's a great place to start with Week 11. Playoff intensity football. It's here. It's here. We shift. Hey, in your fantasy football leagues, now we have a 14-week regular season. Still, we're down the stretch run. This is the time in your dynasty leagues that you should be looking at the teams that are falling out of contention, try to make your final push in trades. You redraft, you're looking at your roster, you're looking for vulnerabilities, weaknesses. You're really paying closer attention to your waiver wire pickups now, right? We're almost through the bye week gauntlet. Everything is changing. And yeah, some bangers. And Cease, I think what we have here makes me think of Paul Charchian's guillotine leagues, right? Mortality for AFC teams, except for maybe Kansas City, maybe Baltimore, but I don't even want to say Kansas City and Baltimore because it's a 7-game, 8-game, depending on whether you've had your bye, or 6 or 7 games, whatever it is, that's what's left of the season. And no matter what you've done up to this point, you have to bring it for the next 2 months or you're going home. So you always have mortality on the mind, mortality of your season for all of these games in the AFC. 11 teams in playoff contention, or 11 teams at 500 or better. Looking at this game, I really think that you absolutely have a problem for Baltimore, as this is a team that has outplayed so many teams and at the same time lost, find a way to lose. We don't necessarily associate that with Baltimore, but that has been what has been holding them back. Cincinnati has been more of a find a way to win team. And after they lost to Houston last week, you don't want to say must win, but these are the games that are going to determine the path, whether it's easier or harder. You're going to see Marlon Humphrey. So Jamar Chase, just want to make sure his back didn't get worse by playing. You're going to see Tyler Boyd. Again, he dropped a touchdown that might have given them the win the last week. Tanner Hudson, I guess, not Irv Smith. Remember that second for a moment there? We thought Irv Smith might be doing something. Joe Mixon, of course, is in your lineup as a running back too. Baltimore's defense we thought was good. Probably is good. I don't know. These are both teams that are searching for themselves right now. There's a lot of games, that we're going to look at as a crossroads game for these AFC teams. Every week, we're going to get the popcorn out.
Get out the booster. The internet went to crap again. Sorry, everybody. So let's talk Ravens side. I knew I jinxed it. I was like, just shut up. Don't say anything. And then Jinxie. No. Ravens side of things. And Lamar Jackson is beautiful and wonderful. And now with more Keaton Mitchell, I suppose. But Gus Edwards there to plug it up. And Mark Andrews. I mean, we know the names. We know how they're going to try to attack Cincinnati. And we know who you should trust on Thursday night.
Yeah, trust. I mean, wow. Who's the trust here? Mark Andrews, who actually had a down week last week.
Big trust.
Yeah.
That's a trust.
Yeah, it's tough. Lamar Jackson, I mean, you have to play Lamar Jackson because of his ceiling. And Cincinnati's another team. We thought they had a good pass defense, and then CJ Stroud came to town. You got to play Lamar Jackson, but how many times are we going to make excuses? I'm the one doing it, right? It's the game script. They're scoring all the touchdowns on the ground. When's Lamar Jackson going to tighten up his game a little bit, avoid turnovers, and make some plays to elevate this offense? More Keaton Mitchell. I'm not saying we're trusting Keaton Mitchell yet, but I think I'm inclined to break ties in favor of him. No sign there's any issues with the hamstring that had him on the injury report. The team is saying we need to use him more, and I don't think teams are ready for him. And I think, especially again, as I've laid out, the way you have to defend this offense, 11-on-11 football, guarding for that deep ball, guarding the middle of the field. You have to play heavier boxes because otherwise Gus Edwards is going to run through like a bull in a china shop. So, Zay Flowers, do we trust him? No. But if you think this is a game where Lamar Jackson rises to the occasion, maybe it is getting that downfield passing game for a blink there. When they're facing NFC teams at home, Seattle, Detroit, it looked like it was coming together. Facing AFC teams, not as much. And again, he's not a must-win game for Baltimore. Maybe for Cincinnati. But if you're Baltimore and you lose this one at home, your heart starts to beat a little faster. Nothing's promised.
Yeah, nothing's promised. And the AFC North, another banger, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Please just tell me somehow, some way they'll find a way. But the Browns defense is incredibly tough. Now we know Jaylen Warren is the starter. Okay, it's still going to be a split. I mean, what,
Right.
55-45? Is my math right?
Yeah,
Like,
something like that.
yeah, hey, Jaylen Warren's the starter. Good. And Najee Harris is still going to get used plenty. It comes down to creativity for Kenny Pickett in that passing game and time, Bloom. And against the Browns, he's not going to have much of either.
No. This game, the complexion changes as we wake up this morning to news that Deshaun Watson's going on IR with shoulder surgery. That's the end of his season. So guess what? The Steelers get to be even more conservative. They get to be even more conservative on offense. So I would expect the running backs. Jaylen Warren's got to be in your lineup as a running back too. Najee Harris is at least a flex. Deontay Johnson is a what the heck flex. I don't see why you're taking chances. I don't even know why you're calling plays. Cease, why would you even call a play that asks Kenny Pickett to hold on to the ball more than 3 seconds, right? Your passing is play action and 3 and 5 step drops, right? I mean, why would you even allow Myles Garrett to influence this game by letting Kenny Pickett drop back to pass? Maybe you roll them out. It's all highly within structure stuff. So even Deontay Johnson isn't an automatic play here. Steelers play close to the vest and try to just keep grinding these wins out. They beat this team. Remember, Broderick Jones, right tackle, rookie. They moved up to get him. Keying a running game. Cease, I think the stat was that the running backs had an average of 3.6 yards before contact last week. So they're not going away from the running game. They're not go to Kenny Pickett, and they're just going to try to win by outlasting a very tough Browns team that, remember, without Deshaun Watson, they beat San Francisco, they beat the Colts, and they barely lost to Seattle. So they're not done.
No, God, no, not at all. But at least we have clarity. Take your drink on Deshaun Watson because it was always like, well, who knows? I think we talked about it on the waivers show. So
Right.
now, how do they maneuver and manipulate around things? Well, it's probably with a conservative approach.
Right, same thing, right? Spider-Man meme again. A lot of Jerome Ford, who had a good game against the Steelers. And remember, that was the game that Nick Chubb went down. I feel like I should cross myself or something. That's just terrible. My gut says, can't you see Amari Cooper having 1 or 2 big plays in this one? Just at the worst possible time. Here's my Steelers fan pessimism glasses, right? But Cooper had 2 good games out of 3 with Walker. David Njoku had 2 good games out of 3 with Walker. So there's still solid plays. It's Elijah Moore maybe is the part of the passing game that suffers. Walker, it was always frenetic. It was always nerve-wracking. They found ways to win 2. They lost 1. Seattle found a way to win. But they're still a very competitive team with Walker, and they're not as bad of a fantasy offense as you think. Against the Steelers, maybe as bad as you think. But again, so much on the line for both of these teams. Welcome to Week 11.
Welcome to Week 11. Welcome to the Thunderdome or the Silverdome or whatever, Ford Field now. Chicago and Detroit up. Here we go. Chicago side. And we're done.
Yeah. Well, Justin Fields is going to be back. Justin Fields is going to
We
be back.
sure about that? It's Wednesday morning. We're
Well,
recording
they're
this. He
announcing.
should be
Yeah.
back.
He should be
Yes.
back. He should be. I mean,
Yes.
we're projecting him to start this game. I think all of the indications are he's going to start this game. And upside because there's either a chance of garbage time or a chance of a shootout. Justin Fields can get into a shootout. So on that turf against this defense, remember the last game the Lions played was 41-38. Now with Justin Herbert, but still, it is probably going to be a split backfield. We're going to watch and see if Khalil Herbert's back. Both Herbert and Foreman are what the heck flexes, maybe 4 teams on bye, not exactly great offenses. But you're going to get DJ Moore back in your lineup. Remember, he was starting to take off, had that 3 touchdown, should have been a 4 touchdown game. Probably the best game any wide receiver will have this season already he's had with Justin Fields. And Cole Kmet, well, he never really was out of your lineup. With Tyson Bagent, he was fine. And even Darnell Mooney will watch as a potential what the heck flex in the shootout theory. Detroit goes back home, though, and sees they're winning the games that they used to lose. I'm even hearing from my good friend Uriah Zane Hunt, one of the Hunt brothers behind Via 313 Pizza. Look it up. And he said, I believe they were going to win when I was watching the game last week. Well, maybe it was because it was the Chargers, but maybe it's because it's a new day in Detroit.
Yeah, in Detroit. And it's the belief in self. I don't want to turn this into Tony Robbins. My pep talk turned into a pep rally, although that's Kendrick Lamar. Anyway, belief in yourself and believing in winning. That's what I talked about last night with the Broncos. It's always the Broncos show. Like, you have to believe you can win before you can win. So now they believe, and they have multiple ways to win. Like, hell, look at the number of weapons we're talking about. Not Jameson Williams, but everyone else. weapon, and decoy. Like, fine. It all comes down to Jared Goff, and should be a robust day at home against the Bears.
Yeah, it should be. The Bears defense. And what do we know about the Lions? What can you see? The creativity in the playbook, the crispness of execution, and especially for an inexperienced defense like the Bears, yeah, we expect a lot of success here. Only outdoor game left before week 17 on the Detroit schedule is also against the Bears. So you have to like that. You're playing both running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, league winner. I'm here for it. Over 50% of the snaps, getting as many more even red zone looks as David Montgomery. So David Montgomery had that 75-yard touchdown for us last week. So if you played him, you were okay with that. But just know that he's got a lower floor and a lower ceiling than he had before Jahmyr Gibbs showed everybody. Sonic the Hedgehog, that performance going into the bye. And, of course, Sam Laporta catching the big 4th down. So, yeah, it's on. It's on. And, a team like the Lions, I don't want to jinx them. I mean, they haven't made the playoffs yet. It's not certain yet. But it is a wide open NFC. It is about health. They did lose Vitae on the offensive line, but they've been relatively healthy, and that belief in self can take you pretty far. And this isn't even a team we should count out as a number 1 seed, potentially. The road to the Super Bowl could go through Detroit. Philly has a much tougher schedule than them. Got to win the games you're supposed to win. They're supposed to win this one. Yes, we're talking about the Lions.
Yes, go win and go forth. Then we're talking about the Chargers and Packers. So we start out with some bangers, and then we go to Chargers and Packers. All right, Chargers side, we should feel more confident, and maybe even more confident in Quentin Johnston, perhaps. Watch the health status during the week, again, recording Wednesday morning. What do we got? Gerald Everett banged up. We've got Keenan Allen banged up. Like, all right, watch out for those weapons. Should be fine, but you never know. But watch and see, and then perhaps even throw in Quentin Johnston now that we've seen the rookie do a little bit more.
Yeah, or Jalen Guyton, who has that experience. He's back, remember, from an injury. And by the way, I need to revise, even though I said all of that stuff about PJ Walker, the word as we're recording is that Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to start. That's per Jordan Schultz. Dorian Thompson, back to Robinson. Remember, they started Robinson earlier in the year and immediately went back to Walker. And again, the team was fine with Walker as far as competitiveness, but it looks like it's going to be Thompson Robinson.
If they only had
So-
Josh Dobbs.
Right. And Minnesota going to go to the playoffs with Josh Dobbs. So maybe Amari Cooper, David Njoku, you don't like as much, but it's certainly going to make the preparation on defense for the Steelers a little more interesting.
That game's going to be like 2-0.
Right? It's going to come down to a special teams miscue. The San Diego Chargers, See, my brain says San Diego Chargers. You know why, Cecil? Because I don't think we're talking about this enough. The Chargers are 4-5, typical Chargers, right? Mediocre team. But let me present to you this. The first game of the year, they had 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line of Miami to go. If they would have scored a touchdown, they could have gone up 38 or even 39-30. They settle for a field goal. Miami goes down and has a touchdown. And they even have a chance after that to answer, and they don't. Tennessee, 1st and 10 at the 14, at Tennessee's 14 to win. They can't score a touchdown, kick a field goal, go to overtime. Win the toss in overtime. Can't get a first down. Tennessee goes on to win. Dallas, they have 1st and 5 at their own 30, a field goal to tie, a touchdown to win. They lose. And then last week, all they needed to do was stop Detroit on 4th and 2, and they would have had a chance to win. So it isn't even that they're losing one-score games. These are all games that you can pinpoint one play or one situation where the win probability probably was on their side. And you add those up, it's 8-1. Even if you just break those 2-2, it's 6-3. And we're not talking about the Chargers as a disappointing team. We're not talking about them charging. We're talking about them. And notice all those situations except for one are on Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore and the offense, and them not executing in the red zone or not executing in a 2-minute drill drive. So you need this game, and we're not counting them out if they can win this game in Green Bay. Check Allen's condition, like you said. Guyton, I would say a little over Johnston just because of the experience with Justin Herbert. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of Austin Eckler, and you expect the Chargers to win this game, so they'll probably find a way to lose.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you expect Aaron Jones to do a lot, and then it sounds like the Packers will screw it up somehow. Like Green Bay just needs to get the season over, make the decision on Love, make the decision on LaFleur, like start it over. Stop trying to make Christian Watson a thing. Romeo Dobbs is the best receiver on that. I don't care if Watson's healthy. I don't care if he's not healthy. Like whatever. Green Bay's so disappointing. I almost said disgusting to me.
Yeah.
I respect Aaron Nagler too much to call his team disgusting, but like it's just they're a disappointment. There's no excitement. There's no pop, no energy. So let's make this one quick, baby.
Yeah, and they still could have beat the Steelers last week if they had made one play at the end. Right? That's where we are. Jordan Love spreading the ball around. They're all what the heck flexes. Reed, Dobbs, Wicks, Watson, Luke Musgrave, a what the heck tight end, because it is the Chargers defense that, and again, we're not quite in the recontextualization first month of the season, but still, how much of it is that the Chargers defense is that bad? How much is it the Lions offense is that good? But you would expect some success for Jordan Love, super flex quarterback 2 consideration. Running back 2 consideration for Aaron Jones. You don't trust him, but that applies to 90% of the running backs when it comes to fantasy football. And even the Packers would not be in playoff contention in the AFC. Like you said, Cecil, this is kind of a lost season. And you just shrug your shoulders when you think about what's next. What's next at quarterback? Probably this team is not going to do anything rash at head coach with LaFleur's track record of success. But does that road just lead to more mediocrity, as this is not a team that's going to be in position to draft a top 3 quarterback next year, Cease? They're not going to move up. They're not that kind of team. They're not going to make a big move to move up. So what does the future hold, Packers fans? Well, you had it in your Aaron Rodgers years. You had that Super Bowl because Rashard Mendenhall fumbled. Enjoy it.
Kyler Murray in Green Bay?
But they're not a bold organization. They're not the kind of they're a bold organization when it's time to take Jordan Love and move up in the first round. That's when they're bold.
And ruin things with Aaron Rodgers.
Like, who's the quarterback? Who's going to be the quarterback that's next year's Jordan Love? That's the quarterback they're probably going to take in the first round.
Okay, well, it's about fit. You know what I mean? So you don't necessarily need a top 10 pick, but find the right fit. Find your guy. and move forward with your guy. You're our ladies and gentlemen. It is the Audible. It is Cecil, Lammey, and Sigmund Bloom. Footballguys.com wants you to help out our YouTube channel by liking and commenting and sharing and subscribing and all those sorts of things with this video. If you comment in the chat room, comment down below as well. We got 4 games down, 3 games to go. You want to support the show? We don't do any silly super chats. You want your comment on the screen? Just comment and hopefully I can get to it.
Yeah.
Our chat room is very busy, Bloom. Very busy.
Well,
I get
because
to the end
it
of the
is that
show. I'm
time of
like,
year.
holy cow. I hardly got through any of these things.
It's business. They're talking business. They're talking trades. They're talking starts and sits because it's important now. Everything, the screws are getting tighter, and the chat room is there for each other. So if you don't come to the chat, the live show, and YouTube, you're missing out on getting to be part of the Brain Trust.
Yes, that's right. So check out footballguys.com. You want to support the show? That's the best way to do it. And sign up for that free daily newsletter. It's available at footballguys.com. Hot and fresh to your inbox every day. Top sports stories, the top fantasy football stories, and takes are written by Joe Bryant, Cecil Lammey, Sigmund Bloom. I go third person because I like to say hell of a trio. What do we like to say about the Raiders now? Raiders, Miami. In Miami, this is much more interesting on their side, Bloom. Like, much more interesting. It's not just because of the changes with the Raiders and Ding Dong, the witch is dead. It's like, Miami, you better do something. You haven't won against a team over 500. Good thing you're facing the Raiders, but the Raiders now are different, energized, dare I say, better, Bloom.
In the playoff hunt, dare I say.
Mm-hmm.
What Antonio Pierce can do for you. I guess Vic Fangio is going to make Aiden O'Connell a student in this one. He's got to learn. So this could be a great game to have Miami's defense in. You're going to see some Josh Jacobs. You hope that this game doesn't get out of hand. I don't think the Raiders defense is going to. He gave Mike McDaniel a bye week. I don't think the Raiders defense is going to be much more than a speed bump for Miami. Going to get David Achane back. Spoiler alert, probably. So I think this is going to be a rough game for Aiden O'Connell. You hope for enough targets for Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. We haven't had much sign of life from Jacoby Myers. Maybe it's a Jacoby Myers game. Maybe it's a Michael Mayer game, just because you're also having this Miami defense coming out of the bye with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard as healthy as they're going to be for the rest of the year. So finally, Vic Fangio is going to have all the toys to play with, the edge rush, and they have an opportunistic safety and Javon Holland, so they can make some things work. Good luck, Aiden O'Connell. They held up all right against the Jets, but the Jets can't score points. Miami can.
Yeah, and with Vic Fangio, Bloom, it's not toys, because remember, he didn't even know who Buzz Lightyear was.
Oh,
with Vic Fangio, it's all the meatballs and the pasta. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All the meatballs, yeah.
Yeah,
Spicy
he
meatballs.
said that one time. He's like, I want all the meatballs and the pasta.
Well, Fangio, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder where he went to get Italian food in Denver.
I don't know, but I know when they went to Elway's when he was hired, one, he didn't have a suit.
Okay, that's good. That's points.
Vic
That's
Fangio.
actually, in my book, that's points. Yeah.
And then he ordered a hamburger at a steakhouse.
That's okay. They use the steak trimmings and stuff. It could be a really good burger. That's okay. I like him more. Tell me more.
I like him less. Well, I appreciate him. We appreciate the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel, but again, you guys gotta get it going. Get it going. Perfect time to build some momentum at home against the Raiders. Sure, you could do that. Sure, the normal assets that you'll continue to do that. We'll watch the backfield split. Now with Wednesday chain back?
Should be this week.
Should be this week. Okay. Again, we're recording Wednesday morning in case you're listening to this later. And listen to the audio version of the Audible. I always drop in some extra goodies for you. But anyway, like, okay, A-Chain back. We'll watch that backfield split. But yeah, go drop 35. Like, look like the Miami Dolphins that we know and love, Bloom.
Yeah, I think they will. Stuff we're going to be watching. I think Devin Achan's in your lineup. If he's on the field, he's in my lineup. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Raheem Mostert's more of a what the heck flex. And we're going to be watching Jalen Waddle's health. Boy, it'd be nice to see him get a full practice in. Tyreek Hill Remember, he was banged up. There was a moment there that we thought he might miss a game or maybe even miss multiple games. I will say that Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins, they like to play with us. They like to really. Mike McDaniel has said different things like Jeff Wilson. Well, I think he's going to have a chance to play this year. Well, Jeff Wilson was back not very long after he was eligible. But Devin Achane, they've been pretty straight up and saying he's expected to be back after the 4 weeks. And you see Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, etc. Can they slow this offense down? I don't think so. But for Miami, fine, you can beat the Raiders. We know they can beat bad teams. Can they beat a good team? We're not probably not going to learn this week because even though they're in the playoff hunt, the Raiders are not a good team.
Not a good team whatsoever. Speaking of not a good team, Giants and Commanders up next. Yeah, hot Giants Commanders talk. This take will be about 3 minutes long. So, Bloom,
Yeah.
I'm timing you.
Yes.
And I'm talking about for both
Okay.
teams because it's
Sure.
Giants up first. And oh boy, I'm sorry, Giants fans. I am.
Yeah. We're going to see a Barkley backfield, Barkley squared eventually, just to let Tommy DeVito off the hook. Matt Barkley's the backup there. He has some experience with Brian Dable.
Yep.
Charles Barkley at running back. Iran Barkley at wide receiver. Let's see if we can have an all Barkley offense. And I guess the only question here is whether you play Saquon Barkley. You hope this was a close game. This was a 14-7 game. These teams played earlier. The Giants defense was actually playing pretty well then. So you think they hang around, Barkley gets more touches, maybe some wildcat quarterback. Probably you're leaving Barkley in. He's just that good. And then the other question is just Sam Howell, who struggled against the Giants, but has learned, has grown. We're watching him week to week, becoming a better quarterback. So does he look better against them this week?
Well, we shall see. And the Commander side, it's like, okay, start everybody, including the man I cannot say his name.
No,
I
you
could
don't.
probably say it after this week.
Well, I think you start Terry McLaurin for sure. McLaurin had a good game the first time around. I think you probably start Brian Robinson just because of the chance that this is a dejected Giants team, not the same kind of team they faced about a month ago. So Brian Robinson should be able to control the game in a win. And Sam Howell is a low-end quarterback one, even though he didn't play up to that in the first matchup. And know this, Seattle is right now, I think, the last playoff spot, but they have a really tough schedule left. And you're looking for a potential team to emerge as a surprise wild card. And you look at the schedule, Washington is a team. You win this game, you almost won in Seattle last week, speaking of Seattle. So that's not that crazy to say they're roughly in the same galaxy, but you got to win this one to start thinking about playoffs, Ron Rivera.
Yeah, we'll be thinking about putting Daiquiri Man's comment in our next thumbnail.
Mhm.
Although Joe may not like that. Sorry, Joe. But anyway, we get a lot of attention, right? You get a lot of clicks. I don't know about the YouTube algorithm, but whatever. Dallas, LA Rams. Oh boy. Now, this one could be fun if the Rams side is healthier. We'll get to them in just a little bit. Let's talk about Dallas. Oh God, it's Carolina. See, how many times have I do
your
this
handwriting?
How many times? God bless handwriting. See it? Ah, crap. I was like, wait a second. They don't play the
For
Rams
a second
this week.
there, you were looking forward to this game, though.
I know. Now it's like, oh, Dallas, start everybody.
Yeah, right.
It becomes like, wow, what a matchup. And then it becomes, oh, God, it's Carolina. Yeah, start all your Cowboys.
It's bad.
And
really
watch the backfield. Like, who was it? Lester? Lester complained about Tony Pollard in the chat room earlier. Like, yeah, our dude, Lester. Love that guy. Like, yeah, okay, fantasy GMs. Watch that backfield split and don't trust Brandon Cooks. Although, this week, maybe. His window's 2 weeks now.
Right, coming off of that great game. And I think that's what you're looking at. Dak Prescott been the best fantasy football quarterback since the bye when Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy figured it out, throw a lot to CeeDee Lamb, and encore for Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard, and now everyone's sure to bench him. But it's a game script that should give him opportunities. So was last week. Is it Rico Dowdle? Certainly he'll be in our What the Heck Flex picks tomorrow. And Jake Ferguson is in your lineup. 3 straight touchdown games for him. Should be easy to make that 4 in this one. And yeah, Carolina. as depressing as the Giants are, is it more depressing if you are a fan of Carolina? Because at least the Giants have their first round pick next year.
Yeah, and the thing with the Giants, it's like, okay, injuries, just like, Mama said, one of those years. With Carolina, like this was supposed to work.
This is your
Like, yeah,
bed. You
yeah,
made it.
yeah. So yeah, sure, rookie struggles from a quarterback. We can all accept that. But like flashes, things to give you hope for the future. Do you have any hope if you're Carolina? And if you have any Panthers on your fantasy team, well, what, Adam
Sorry.
Thielen,
Yeah.
PPR king, yeah. Other than that, like, wow, okay, this is how it's gonna look. But this is, again, disappointing, disgusting. I feel like we're talking about the Packers again.
Right. This is a team, I guess, Cecil, when I look at the Panthers and try to come up with something to say, I mean, yes, you're going to keep playing Adam Thielen. He's only averaging about 11 points a game in PPR leagues over the last 3 weeks, though. But still, that's a wide receiver 3 flex. And maybe this one is so bad that he gets a chance in garbage time to put up some big numbers. When I look at this one, Cecil, the one thing I think about is it's too bad we don't have an alternate universe, because I would just wonder if CJ Stroud was drafted to Carolina and if Bryce Young was drafted to Houston, how different would it look? How much is the player, how much is the organization fit? Like
Well,
you
it's
said,
fit.
Cease.
It's fit. But like, who doesn't fit? Well, Frank Reich, come on, baby. Like, again, this is really weird. Really weird. Hopefully, it's just a bad dream, and then next year it starts to flourish. But like, yeah, switch the quarterbacks. It doesn't matter, baby. It's fit. Like, who fits?
Well, and it makes you wonder too. And I mean, if I hear you correctly, Cease, you're saying if CJ Stroud was the number 1 pick, we would still be talking about maybe not quite as disappointing, but a disappointing Panthers team,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
We're talking about CJ Stroud changing the course of the Texans franchise, but is it CJ Stroud, or is it that CJ Stroud landed in a fertile spot with D'Amico Ryans and Bobby Slowick? And I think if we're going to point at one thing, it's that what did we see from day one? And maybe it is on Frank Reich, okay? Or maybe it is even on David Tepper, ownership matters.
Oh God. Yeah.
Well, because you create an atmosphere where people are afraid of making mistakes, right? Isn't that what it looked like? We saw Bryce Young, and it was almost like they're saying, we're not height, we're not worried about that. Arm strength, we're not worried about that. We're not worried about how your slight build may subject you to more injuries, but we're not going to allow you to hang back in the pocket for a long time. We're going to have Andy Dalton taking quarterback sneaks. We're going to actually say with our game plan that we don't trust you. Whereas you saw exact opposite with Houston. Even though they got blown out by Baltimore in week 1, CJ Stroud was out there slinging it and allowed to play football, not don't make mistake ball.
Right. Yeah. Can't do it. Mike Singletary used to say, Bloom. I'm finally caught up to the Vic Fangio references in the chat room. And would you not be surprised? And that's Bukowski, right? In Lester's
Yes.
So Lester says he agrees with you. No suit is like a arrow up.
Yeah.
Like you like the guy that doesn't have the suit, right?
See, the Freudian take on wearing a tie, because I know people think it's a power thing. Where's it pointing and all that stuff, But it's also, you want to hang yourself.
It's the rat race. Power. Yeah. Power tie. Like I don't wear ties. Although I must say the kitschy T-shirt with the blazer over it, that looks it's old, baby. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said for the clothes make the man and that stuff, but a big part of the reason I'm not an attorney, a practicing attorney, I'm a dormant attorney, is because of the dress. I would have not fit in so many ways, but the dress, I have to wear a suit every day. Are there other jobs like fantasy football analyst?
Wait. Internet personality. That's what Sigmund Bloom
Internet
says,
personality. Right? Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a job you don't need to wear a suit at. Yeah, there we go. Oh man, here's the only bad thing. Now I'm sad. When I lost all the weight, let me finish. I had to give away I donated, I don't know, 25, 30 suits. Just couldn't wear them anymore. So yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. Feeling good, looking good, right?
Well, Yeah, man. It's just like the earth right now. You're like the tree shedding the leaves, ready for the new spring in the life of Cecil Lammey.
Yeah. I need to clean up the leaves in my backyard. Anyway, we got to run. We appreciate you all. That was part 1 of the week 11 preview. Be back with part 2, and we appreciate you all. Again, YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid, and follow Sigmund on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. And of course, I'm at Cecil Lammey. The show is at the Audible. Thanks, everyone. Stay tuned. And would you please, as always, stay frosty.